And good morning. Welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
No information on when, why, or how they ended up in North Korea, but Pyongyang says it will send back today 6 South Korean men detained there through the truce village of Panmunjom.
The $1 exchange rate hit its year low on Thursday during a trading session. The government financial authority stepped in. More coming up in the headlines.
And a North Korean diplomat is said to be seeking asylum in Seoul. Details to come on In Print.
The perfect marriage between certain ingredients can bring extra flavor and additional health benefits. I'm here to bring you some special dishes that uses a little culinary symbiosis.
And it's one of the biggest fashion events in Korea, Seoul Fashion Week, unveiling the up-and-coming trends, bringing together designers, celebrities, and fashionistas alike from all over the world. We'll take you there. And this is the biggest aerospace shows in Asia. Catch some high-flying action along with the latest aero tech at the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition, which kicks off today on Friday, October 25th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good to have you with us on Korea Today. It's a special day. Today is Dokdo Day here in Korea. Too bad we can't be there physically, but what you're looking at is a live shot of the Dokdo Island.
Well, the weather could be cooperating, but the weather is a little bit unstable over there in the East Sea there. Now, on this day, 103 years ago, Emperor Gojong officially proclaimed jurisdiction over the Dokdo Islets as well as the nearby Ulleung Island, and Dokdo Day was established in 2010 by the Korean Federation of Teachers Associations along with other various civic groups, and it is a day of reminder of our connection to the Dokdo Islands.
That's right, and this set of islets has been the source of constant political tension between Seoul and Tokyo, with Japan claiming sovereignty over it just recently as this week. But we're going to have more stories on Dokdo coming up later on our show, so do stay with us. But first, we'll turn to Na Young for a check of the day's headlines.
So North Korea says it will send 6 South Koreans who had been detained by Pyongyang back to the South on Friday. Seoul's Unification Ministry says North Korea notified the South of its decision to release those individuals through the truce village of Panmunjom. The 6 detainees are all said to be males, ages ranging from 20s to 60s. When and how they entered the North, as well as whether it was voluntary, is not yet known. This comes after Pyongyang in 2010 said it was interrogating 4 South Koreans who had illegally entered North Korean territory, and also after the regime this past June said it had several South Koreans who trespassed in custody. Some North Korea watchers say Thursday's decision was made following the regime's conclusion that it was not going to get any valuable information out of the individuals, nor would it be able to use them as propaganda tools. And South Korea's national security chief says North Korea and its nuclear programs are at the top of his agenda. During his stay in Washington, Kim Jang-soo, the presidential office's national security chief, told reporters Thursday, Washington time, that the issues surrounding Pyongyang are more important than revising the transfer date of wartime operational control from Washington to Seoul. He also said the fate of the stalled 6-party nuclear disarmament talks is up to North Korea's attitude. After wrapping up his talks with U.S. National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Kim is scheduled to meet with U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel on Friday. A map created in the 19th century by a Japanese scholar shows the body of water between Korea and Japan labeled as the Sea of Joseon. Now, Joseon, of course, referring to the dynasty that was ruling the Korean peninsula at that time. Korean scholars say the waters, which in present days are named the East Sea by Korea, has always been recognized as Korea's maritime territory, but Tokyo registered its version of the Sea of Japan with the International Hydrographic Organization in the 1920s.
I emphasize once again, in 1929, Korea was under Japanese colonization, so our representatives were not present. Only the Japanese representatives took part and changed it to the Sea of Japan.
Now, Korean historians speculate there are more than 30 maps similar to the one unveiled on Thursday, recognizing the East Sea as Korea's, but Japan is reluctant to make them public. Korea's financial authorities have warned against the rapid appreciation of the Korean won against the U.S. dollar. The local currency hit a record low this year during trading hours, hitting 1,054 won and 30 chon against the greenback, but it settled at 1,061 won at Thursday's close.
At the end of the year, talk about Washington tapering off its monetary stimulus measure will surface, and China tightening its monetary policy came out on Wednesday. If issues like this continue to come to light, I think the exchange rate will move progressively despite concerns.
Market watchers suspect the government intervened in the market immediately after the won recorded its year low, mopping up $2 billion from the market. Officials from the Finance Ministry and the Central Bank verbally intervened in the afternoon, saying the recent strengthening of the won was quote-unquote too excessive, adding that the government was closely monitoring the financial markets. This is the first time in 5 years that the two financial bodies have jointly made such remarks.
And good morning, everyone. A varied bunch of stories today. Let's go ahead and kick off today's imprint with a look at the front page of 동아일보. The front page image captures a resurged discord between the central government and members of the teachers' union. Image title reads, "Teachers' Union Stripped of Its Legal Status, Members Up in Arms." On the left over here is Education Minister Seo Nam-soo with Labor Minister Bang Ha-nam during a briefing on the development yesterday, and the Korean Teachers and Education Workers Union were informed that it would no longer be legally recognized yesterday afternoon, one day after the government deadline by which they were instructed to amend its bylaws to unload dismissed teachers from the group. Soon after, labor union members held a candlelight vigil in front of the central government complex in Jongno in Seoul in protest, as union leaders vowed to fight the move, filing an injunction and a lawsuit against the government. And a quick look at the main headline on the left there. It reads, South Korea, North Korea, Russia distribution cooperation pursued via Najin Hasan Railway. And a new triangular distribution cooperation project is being considered by the Park Geun-hye government as part of its Eurasia initiative, the article says. The grand plan to connect the economies of the South and North through a logistical web that also connects the peninsula to Greater Europe. It adds the government is considering various specific proposals to utilize the newly connected 54 kilometers of rail between Russia's Hasan and North Korea's Najin ahead of Russian President Vladimir Putin's Seoul visit next month. And staying with North Korea, let's go ahead and take a look at the front page story on 중앙일보. Its headline reads, North Korean diplomat seeks asylum in South Korea. This is a development that was confirmed yesterday, the paper says, and while not much is known about the diplomat, the article does report that he worked in the Trade Department in Ethiopia and that he is currently under investigation in Seoul as part of his request for asylum. According to an unnamed government source, his request came in the month of August, around the time that relations between Seoul and Pyongyang were thawing with the normalization of the Kaesong Industrial Complex and the like. And because of this, the paper says the government kept the asylum request under wraps to avoid backlash from Pyongyang. Authorities believe the reason for the diplomat's defection was mounting pressure from Pyongyang to rake in bulk cash or U.S. dollars, luxury goods, and drugs. All right, scooting on over to Gyeongyang Shinmun now. It stays on the alleged spy agency's presidential campaign meddling as its main headline reports. National Intelligence Service staff disseminated Park Geun-hye presidential campaign press materials. And the paper reports it confirmed yesterday some 50 cases of NIS employees retweeting then-candidate Park Geun-hye's campaign press material content, such as her visit to a nursing home, as well as her forthcoming campaign plans. And let's go ahead and wrap things up with a look at our business newspaper for today. Korea Economic Dailies has a story on the market on its front page over here. And the headline reads, government carries out strong measure of market intervention to defend 1,051 exchange rate. And it's a story you already heard in the headlines. The inserted graph shows the sharply declining $1 exchange rate, though it did bounce back a bit between Tuesday and Thursday, ending at 1,061 won to the greenback. The article reports that Forex authorities intervened by purchasing dollars to pull up the exchange rate. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Friday. Next up are your closing numbers from Thursday's market action.
If you are interested in death-defying aerial stunts performed by the latest aerospace technology, we might have the perfect event for you. Still to come on Korea Today.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that story.
Me too.
Yep, and that air show kicks off today, so we'll get a look at that with Danny Hong later on.
Right. As we mentioned at the top of the hour, today is Dokdo Day, and our Idami joins us from a special place where you can learn more about Dokdo.
All right, let's go to Idami first for the weather. Good morning.
울릉도 동남쪽 백길 따라 200리 독도는 우리 땅 우리 땅. Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd start the day off with a Dokdo song because today is Dokdo Day here in Korea. That's also what brought me here to the Dokdo school located in Cheonan of South Chungcheong Province. Now, back in 1900, October 25th, Emperor Gojong clearly stated that Dokdo is an affiliated island of Ulleungdo. Thus, October 25th was commemorated as Dokdo Day here in Korea. Now, Dokdo is located in the far east of the peninsula. It consists of two large rocky islets and some rocks in the middle. It was also designated as the 336th Natural Monument. Now, the Dokdo School, which is run by the Independence Hall of Korea, was established this year, back in February 28th. And it's a place where visitors can learn and experience about the history and the beautiful nature of Dokdo. Now, here at the Dokdo School, there are a variety of nationwide education programs that teach us how Dokdo is Korea's rightful territory. There are a total of 4 programs which consist of 1,500 elementary students, 360 family camps, 960 exhibitions training, and 160 Dokdo Insight Survey training. So through these programs, every year almost 3,000 people learn about the history, political significance, the systematic education about Dokdo. There's also a section that makes you feel even closer to Dokdo, as they have set up a greenhouse where they grow plants that can be found on the Dokdo islets, such as Samgirincho, or a certain type of sedum, and Haeguk, which is a kind of aster. So here at the Dokdo School, they provide many different experiences that will help people gain a better understanding about the history and also further knowledge that Dokdo is Korea's sovereign territory. So all in all, it's a great place to learn about the easternmost islets. If you haven't planned anything for the weekend, then you should definitely come on by, because there is the Dokdo Day education program, which is starting today until the 27th. So whether you're Korean or a foreigner, why not come on by the Dokdo School and share the love for Dokdo? I'm Idami, Korea Today.
And as we mentioned at the top of our program, today is Dokdo Day, and since 2010, the Korean Federation of Teachers Associations has been doing its part in promoting Dokdo as well as creating awareness about the islets.
The big focus is on education, and there's a program that allows foreigners to learn more about Dokdo and its significance by visiting it firsthand. And joining us this morning are three participants of this program, Mr. John Park, Ms. Rachel Cannon, and Mr. Alexander Beanland. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Now tell us more about this program and how you came to take part in it.
Well, we got invited by the Isabu Academy, and we actually made some announcements, and we could only invite about 40 participants at that time. And I guess because it was about a 4-day program, they hadn't missed school, but the participants were very excited. Actually, we had a lot of input and a lot of teachers who really wanted to participate in the trip.
Okay, well, let me throw this question at you, Rachel. How would you say your knowledge about the Dokdo Islets were before this whole trip?
I knew that there was some controversy over the Dokdo islets between Korea and Japan, and that Dokdo was very important to Koreans, but in terms of the history of the islets, I wasn't really very informed.
So tell us about the trip. What was the whole trip like? What was it like actually being on the islets itself?
Being on the islets, well, we were only there for 30 minutes because of the conditions of the water.
But you were able to land on the island?
Which I've heard is very rare.
Very
We
rare.
were very lucky to do that. And it was really, it was interesting to see the perceptions of the Koreans that we were there with. We were with many elderly Korean men and women, and they were so happy. They were laughing and crying, and it was really interesting to see.
Laughing and crying? Crying over what?
Just, they were happy. They were really happy to do that.
You can see the
women-
significance of that whole islets, right?
Okay,
Yes.
so when they landed on Dokdo, you mean?
Yes, they
Okay.
were really happy, and to see
I see.
Dokdo through their eyes was really inspiring.
Right, because I've been to Dokdo Island myself, and as a Korean, you're just overwhelmed with a rush of emotions, and it's really larger than life what Dokdo means to Koreans.
Right.
Right. Well, how was it as a foreigner? I want to get another perspective from you, Mr. Alexander Binland.
Well, we were basically the only foreigners there, so it was a very unique experience. So when we went there, obviously, like being the only foreigners, many people were interested, asking us what do we feel about Dokdo and things like that. So it was a very good experience.
Okay. Well, what kind of significance do you think it held for you to be on that island? I know it was a short trip, 30 minutes or so, but what kind of a significance did it hold for you?
Well, firstly, we don't actually get a chance. We wouldn't get a chance to go there, so it was very interesting to actually be able to get the chance to go there. I think that's why it was so people really wanted to go, because otherwise we would have never got the chance. And then once we were there, it was such a beautiful place, just to see how pristine and clean and amazing this whole place was. It was a really great experience. And like Rachel said earlier, the Academy really taught us about the history and how Dokdo's been part of Korean history for a long, long time. And it really helped us understand why Korean people find this such an important place to be Korean, basically.
I understand that your journey included things like special lectures and field trips. Which part of your journey did you find the most educational?
The most educational part of the journey, I suppose, were the lectures where they taught us about the history of Dokdo. But the most exciting part of the trip was obviously landing on the island and being there and actually getting to put the history we've been taught into some perspective.
No, it really is a very tough trip to make, and it is a very significant trip as well. So I'm glad that you had a chance to see all that. For you, John, I mean, we actually were talking backstage, and you said that could be some improvements that could be made. And you did mention a few things. Can you tell us some things that could have been a little bit better?
I thought overall the trip was great, but if there had to be any improvements, maybe the translation could have been a little bit more detailed, so the foreign teachers could actually learn more about the specifics. And of course, translating Korean to English is not an easy task, but I think overall they did get to see a lot of the artifacts, getting educated on how, from Samcheok to Ulleungdo and then Ulleungdo to Dokdo, they actually overall had a good experience with the history and how Dokdo is part of Korean territory.
And for our foreign viewers who might be watching from home, if they want to take part in these trips, then how could they do that?
I think Isabu Academy doesn't just offer it to just foreigners, I believe. I believe they offer it to Korean natives, and they have a yearly program, I believe. And if you go online, I'm pretty sure there are programs to go to Dokdo. But again, Dokdo is a difficult island to reach, and I think time is probably your worst enemy, I guess.
Exactly, the timing has to be right so you can
and the
actually
weather, of course.
set foot on the island and make landing there, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I believe you're English teachers here in Korea. So what do you tell your students about your trip to Dokdo and the significance of Dokdo?
Well, I actually put together a PowerPoint presentation for my students. And they were really excited that I had been to Dokdo because they're learning about it in school. And I showed them pictures of it and explained to them a little bit of the history. And actually, a lot of my students didn't really know the history of Dokdo. They knew, Dokdo is Korea's, but they didn't really know why or what it was about. So they thought it was really funny to learn some of the history from me.
From you.
You definitely have an edge up on them because you've been to the island.
You
Right?
actually landed there,
Yeah.
right? So, well, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip, and best of luck to you in Korea. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having
No
us.
problem, thank you.
Yes, thank you for being with us on this very significant day.
Korea's largest fashion event, Seoul Fashion Week, just came to a close this past Wednesday. It gave us a peek into the 2014 spring and summer looks, and I hope you were there and took some notes.
No, I was not there. if you're just a tad bit more fashionable than I am, then I'm sure you are interested in the 2014 look. And it was a chance for many people to showcase their own fashion philosophy. And not only that, we actually got a chance to see many of the attendees as well. So we'll take a look at this next report.
The biggest fashion gathering in Korea, Seoul Fashion Week. The Seoul collection, the highlight of Fashion Week, brings together top designers and some of their best work, attracting fashion people from all over the world. We head to the 2014 SS Seoul Fashion Week to bring you up to speed on the latest trends. Following New York, Paris, London, and Milan, Seoul Fashion Week has emerged as one of the major fashion festivals. The event opened its doors on the 18th and wrapped up just this Wednesday at Seoul's Yeouido district, where leading fashion designers offered a sweeping view of their character and flair. Global designer Lee Sang-bong, well known for his motive of using Korean characters Hangul, chose the Rose of Sharon or Mugunghwa, Korea's national flower, as his main theme.
I thought about how I could let people across the world know about the Mugunghwa, or the Rose of Sharon, and also have it become part of their daily lives. With that thought, I tried to portray it in a modern way with urban tastes.
The round and smooth lines of the Mugunghwa flowed along the silhouette of women's dresses down the runway. One of its pieces was reminiscent of a traditional hanbok upper garment, the jeogori. Not only that, the Mugunghwa pattern was also used in sunglasses, clutch bags, and other accessories, adding a leisure fun to the designs. Meanwhile, celebrities leading some of the latest fashion trends were also there at Fashion Week. Ha Kang-byul was there with an eye-catching striped outfit. K-pop star JYJ's Kim Jae-jung wore leopard passion sweater and ripped black jeans. And 21CL donned an all-black outfit with an added chic layer of her own, making her mark as a fashion icon. Many other celebrities visited Seoul Fashion Week, heating up the scene.
It seems like Korean fashion is getting a lot of attention and winning recognition around the world, so I hope it continues to progress. Go K-fashion!
One of the other notable trends this year was how designers used color as one of the greatest tools to convey their fashion philosophy. Designer Hong Hye-jin turned some heads with her rich use of the color blue, paired with her unique designs. Designer Kang Gi-ok showed off the classic black and white, popular each SS season, combining various looks of her own. Some took on more adventuresome looks with interesting concepts. Designer Ko Tae-young, who went with the theme gym for his collection, used oversized designs with exaggerated shoulders, adding some humor to the looks, and threw in extra detail with character printing. And another sport-driven look was displayed by designer Kwon Moon-soo. Kwon says he was inspired by soccer and was greatly praised for transforming the runway into a playing field, perfect for the clothes and performance. With some of the newest and creative looks offered up by leading fashion designers, Seoul Fashion Week drew in large crowds from the fashion industry. It's not just for fashion experts, but also people who have a love for fashion. Seoul Fashion Week has become a festival for all. Large crowds of people, some with creative looks, also visited the event with their trendy and unique styles. Adding to the fun of the event was a variety of other festivities at the venue, including DJs and b-boy performances. Korea's leading fashion event, Seoul Fashion Week. It will continue to evolve, offering people a look at the latest and hottest styles in Korea.
So that was a look at some of the latest fashion trends. You look
I
lost.
should have been there.
Right,
I
and
should have
took some
been there.
notes. Well, the 4 major fashion weeks starting in New York, London, Milan, and Paris all came to an end. If you compare the fashion trends in Korea and in other parts of the world, you can see that it's more practical and a bit easier to wear, more porte-à-porter, as they say in French. Right?
Okay, you look at me as if I'm supposed to know what that means, right?
Ready to wear.
But I think, yeah, a lot of the other global fashion weeks, apparently this, for next year, it was more floral patterns that were kind of different from Seoul's fashion weeks, right?
Okay, so am I going to have to invest in a floral suit now?
Yes.
Right. One of the interesting things and the significant things is that Fern Malice, who is the creator of the New York Fashion Week, actually came and attended the Seoul Fashion Week festivities there and also praised Korea's fashion. At first, Malice said that she thought of Japan as the fashion hub of Korea or of Asia, but sees that Korea has a lot of great fashion items as well. All right, that's that.
Awkward silence there.
That was, okay, so what I said just meant nothing.
No, I have to agree with her. You know, Korea is becoming a big fashion hub, or trying to become a fashion hub in Asia.
It really is. See, this is what happens when you get a guy who does not know anything about fashion
To talk about fashion.
Talk about fashion. Right?
Okay, talk about music now.
We're gonna go. All right, we're gonna go to our K-pop charts, but we're also waiting to see Denny Hong, who actually paid a trip to a very special exhibition, an air show. We have that coming up right after this.
Shiny has a new song, I guess.
It's #1.
Wow, yeah.
Wow, amazing. Those guys, just after all those years, still rocking the beat there in K-pop. All right, there is an aerospace and defense exhibition that is kicking off next week, but the air show kicks off today. Joining us is Denny Hong. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Denny.
It's good to be back. So yesterday I did get to see the rehearsal, which is kicking off for today, beginning with the air show at the Cheongju International Airport. It was definitely a lot of fun to see the planes flying very close to my ears.
It makes you a kid again, right?
It
Can
does.
you hear us?
I was very excited to be there. So we have a nice little video for you guys to watch, and so take a look, and we'll talk about it after.
An exhibition where you can check out not only the latest state-of-the-art weapons technology, but also projectiles and satellites. It's the Seoul International Aerospace Defense Exhibition 2013, which runs until November 3rd in Cheongju and Goyang City. We invite you to a tour around ADEX 2013. With some 330 companies from 32 countries participating, the Seoul ADEX show is the largest air show exhibition in Asia Pacific.
It's run every other year with an exhibition and air show. At the air show, you can see all the action from high-performance aircrafts taking place right in front of your eyes.
The most popular event on display will be the air show scheduled to be held at the Cheongju International Airport from the opening day up through Sunday. There you can meet some of the top airshow pilots as they zoom across the beautiful, clear autumn skies. And with one day to go until the grand opening, we visited the Cheongju venue to check out the rehearsal that is underway.
As you can see, there's definitely a lot of media people here in attendance for the event that will open up in a couple of days. Also, there's going to be a lot of aircrafts which are going to demonstrate their flight capabilities, as well as helicopters showing search and rescue operations and to the public as well. So please stick around and take a look.
During the air show, Korea's fighter jets, F-15Ks, and KIA Syrian helicopters will show off their explosive maneuvering tactics.
You can see the aerial maneuvers being done by the helicopters right now. This is to demonstrate what they can do when it comes to personnel retrieval. Earlier, we didn't get to see it, but there was some fireworks displays going on where you had simulated, I guess, ground forces being attacked by these helicopters.
Not only that, the Korean Black Eagles, who won the trophy for best display at one of the top air shows worldwide, the Waddington International Air Show, as well as the Royal International Air Show, as well as other top pilots, will also line the skies with their head-spinning skills. And it's not only the air show. Aerospace activities and educational programs will also take place. You can get up and close to the basic training aircraft KT-1, the T-50 Golden Eagle Advanced Trainer, the Patriot surface-to-air missile launchers, and much more. Seoul ADEX 2013 is also opening an exhibition at Kintex in Goyang City, not far from Seoul, to make the show easily accessible. There it will run from the 29th to the 3rd of next month, where you can see in one glance state-of-the-art weaponry from land, air, and sea, and also look into the future of aerospace technology.
Just seeing even the rehearsal and seeing it on tape is impressive, and seeing you scream, trying to sound, just trying to let your voice out over the top of the...
I was definitely trying to talk
impressive.
over the planes
How was
flying
it
by.
seeing it in person?
Well, initially I thought I was going to be more in the stands and watching from a distance, but we were actually right on the tarmac, and so that was a little bit more closer than I thought it could be. We can see the bellies of the planes as they're going by, so
Wow.
it was definitely a lot more up close and personal than I've ever been to an air show. You had a lot of different types of vehicles that were being shown out. I would say for me, probably the most interesting thing would have to be actually not the fighter jets themselves. And we had the F-40 Phantom, which was doing maneuvers, very Top Gun-esque actually. We had some doing inverted flights, which is interesting. And then you also had a couple of more of the practice planes. They were doing, I guess, more maneuverability in the air because of their slower speed. They were able to do more flips and barrel rolls. And then you also had the HH-60 helicopter, which was showing how they would rescue personnel which are trapped behind the lines, and they had flares going out. It was definitely a lot of things to watch, even as an adult, to see. It's, I don't know, going back to your childhood in many ways. And so,
I like the little heart that they drew on the sky.
The Black
It's
Eagles,
so
yes.
sweet.
I'm surprised you know all the names of all that. It's like, hey, next air show, you're the man for the job, right? Well,
Oh,
that's
no.
Great. But, we did have the air show. The air show is going to go on throughout the weekend in Cheongju, but also there is the exhibition that goes on at the Kintex, right? This is something close by where you can even take the kids, right?
Now, in the Kintex one, that's not actually going to be the air show itself. That's just more up close and personal to view the aircraft, to kind of get close into it, maybe even get into the cockpit. We actually had a couple of planes that were able to just kind of get a little bit more closer view as to the space involved, and you had some personnel there from the military able to answer some questions for curious onlookers as well.
All right. So for this year, any particular aircraft that we need to keep our eyes out for?
There's an interesting one, actually. It's an unmanned aerial vehicle. It's the EAV, actually. And this one is made by the Korean Aerospace Research Institute. And for this one, it is known to be able to fly the farthest unmanned. So it's a 25-hour long flight unmanned.
Wow.
And also able to reach into the stratosphere and do a lot of monitoring for natural disasters as well as borders and those kind of things. So basically, it is mainly a surveying type of aircraft.
Do you realize that you are talking a little bit louder than usual?
Am I?
Yes.
I might be a little deaf in my right ear.
The question is, do you need us to talk louder?
No, I can hear you.
All right, well, sounds good, Jenny. Thank you very much for joining us today.
No problem.
All right, we have yet to get a check on the weather with our Idami.
Now we're going to get the weather.
Let's go back to her right now. Dami.
I'm back reporting live from Cheonan South, Chungcheong Province. Now, since last night, the weather has gotten much colder, and this morning is no exception. Over in Seoul, lows are starting out at 6 degrees Celsius, and over in Gangwon Province, all the way down to 0. Now, despite the cold weather, it looks like we will be seeing clear conditions throughout the day, but there will be signs of sharp, gusty winds like this morning, and that means our body temperatures are going to feel much colder, so make sure to bundle yourselves up before heading outdoors today. Now, over the weekend, we will be seeing similar conditions like today, so make sure to keep warm. But it looks like we might have some good news on Monday as temperatures are expected to rise just a bit. All right, let's now go ahead and take a look at the weather around the peninsula. Seoul's highs will be the coolest at 14, Daejeon not far off at 16, Daegu at 19, Gangneung, Gwangju, and Jeju at 17, and Busan at 21 degrees. That's all I have for the weather forecast. Have a wonderful weekend, and don't forget to try out the Dokdo School if you haven't already been here before. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
And still ahead, the best matching ingredients can bring your palate to life with extra health benefits. We look at which foods pair up to bring excellent flavor and nutrition. Chef Matthew Chung will show us some of his secret pairings using meat, vegetables, and seafood. Stay tuned.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with Game 1 of the 2013 Korea Series between the Doosan Bears and the Samsung Lions. Now, while the Samsung Lions are going after their third straight championship, the Doosan Bears hope to become the first fourth-place team to win the Korea Series. So with that said, let's take a look at the highlights from Daegu Stadium. Of course, going into the game here, Game 1 starters No Kyung-eun for the Doosan Bears and Yoon Sung-hwan taking the mound for the Samsung Lions. When the first inning of the game, here is Park Sung-min, a line drive to deep left field. This one is gone. A solo shot puts Samsung up 1-0. Next inning, here come the Doosan Bears. Choi Jae-woon RBI single to right center, scoring Hong Sung-in, and it's a tie ball game. Next batter, he's been red hot against the Samsung Lions. Son Ji-hyun, RBI single to center, gives the Doosan Bears the 2-1 lead. But we're not done yet. This time it's Lee Jong-wook, an RBI single to right field, and the Doosan Bears now take a 3-1 lead. Fifth inning of the game, Kim Hyun-soo, he's going to drill this hanging curve here deep to right field, and there it goes. A solo shot makes it 4-1 Tucson. Now men on second and third, Lee Suk sends one deep to center field. This one a 2-run triple and make this one 6-1 Tucson. Moving on to the 6th inning, call him the line tamer. Son Jian this time sending one deep to left field, 7-1 Tucson. Meanwhile, the Samsung Lions get one back in the bottom of the 9th inning, but game 1 belongs to the Tucson Bears. 7-2 is your final score. All right, moving on to some Thursday night's KBL action. We had 2 games that took place last night as the Changwon LG Sakers beat Jeonju KCC Aegis 92-87. Thanks to Davon Jefferson's 29 points and 7 rebounds. So with that said, let's take a look at the Seoul SK Knights taking on the Goyang Orions. Of course, going into the game here, a big first quarter from Kim Dong-wook helps the Orions take a 19-16 lead. But the SK Knights rally back thanks to Park Sang-ho gives SK the 35-31 lead after the first half. Third quarter, the Orions keeping it close, get it down to a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. But Chu Hee-jung's big fourth quarter helped the SK Knights hang on to take this game 67-62 as the SK Knights are now tied for first place in the league. And now shifting gears to football, where the first leg of the 2013 AFC Champions League Finals is set to take place tomorrow at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. While FC Seoul is getting further and further away from another league title, they still have a chance at winning the Champions League. Of course, going up against FC Seoul will be the powerhouse of Asian football, Guangzhou Evergrande of China, who are also nicknamed the Manchester City of Asia. However, with Dejan Damjanovic, Molina, and Ha Dae-sung leading the way for FC Seoul, the first leg is a crucial one, as they hope to take a commanding lead before heading into the second leg at away. Meanwhile, during the past 5 years, 5 K-League teams have made it to the finals, with FC Seoul hoping to be the 4th champions in 5 years. And finishing things off at the 2013 National Sports Festival, Marine boy Park Tae-hwan going after his 5th gold medal of the event as Incheon City Hall hoping to win the 400-meter men's medley relay. Even with Park Tae-hwan going 4th in the freestyle swimming, Incheon City falls short and finishes in 3rd place for a bronze medal in the event. And after 5 events, the Marine boy finishes with 4 gold medals and a bronze, giving him the most valuable player honors for the National Sports Festival. Meanwhile, the Olympian hopes to continue his success going into the 2014 Asian Games as fans look forward to the rematch between him and Sun Yang of China. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Some people have good chemistry and some people don't have good chemistry.
We don't have good chemistry?
Not suggesting anything. Well, it's the same for foods. And Matthew Chung joins us for this story. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And yes, like you said, that there are certain food combinations that are great, and there are others that actually don't work quite as well. But what we've done this week is that we've taken 3 food combinations. One that deals with meat, one is more on the seafood side of things, and then another one is just using produce. And now, so these 3 combinations, they all have something really special about them. And it's not just that they're just delicious, but they pack that extra nutritional punch. So why don't we take a look? So the first of our superfood combinations is going to be a combination of pork and pyogo mushrooms. Pork is a fantastic meat. It can taste like anything you want it to taste like. But the thing is, it does have some cholesterol in there. And the great thing about pyogo mushrooms is that it helps keep that cholesterol in check. What we have right here is moksal. We're going to chop it up nice and fine. To this, we're going to add some chopped dubu. Use the back of your knife to sort of turn into a paste, and then you fold over and just kind of mix it in like so. Hengi mushrooms, a couple of cloves of garlic. And then for our last aromatic, we're gonna add some green onion. Now it's time to add some seasoning. And we're gonna start off with a little bit of sugar, some black pepper, a little bit of Korean cooking wine, soy sauce. Okay. Next, we're just gonna start off with the mushrooms. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean out the gills. So if you look, you can see the gills of the mushroom right here. Put the top part on, like so. And now they're ready for 15 minutes or so. Our next fantastic combination is going to be one of my favorites because it uses abalone. Abalone, it's a great seafood. It's a shellfish, and like other shellfish, it can have a bit of cholesterol. But at the same time, it's full of minerals and all sorts of nutrients. But in order to balance out that cholesterol, we're going to add some seaweed to the mix. Now, seaweed or myeok, it helps to lower that cholesterol level. Next, we're going to prepare the abalone. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to separate out all of the innard. And we're going to prepare these abalone by scoring them on the top. We're going to prepare these abalone by making a confit, which means that we're going to cook it low and slow in fat, in this case, olive oil. So you're going to want to set your flame at the lowest possible setting, and you're going to want to keep this on for about 2 to 3 hours. It's time to start dressing the myeok. In a bowl, take a little bit of honey, gochugaru, Korean red chili powder, a little bit of red wine vinegar. And then you want to take a lemon and you want to grate it. We're going to add our olive oil. For our final ingredient to the dressing, it's the most essential because it's the one that's going to tie it all in together. And that's the innards of the abalone. I'm not kidding. It does give it a green tinge, but it also provides this richness. And there you have it. They work together in concert in order to give you all the good stuff while holding back some of that bad stuff. And finally, our last super combination of foods, broccoli and onions. Broccoli, it's a certified superfood. It fights cancer. It's one of the best things you can put in your body. And onions, they have this property to them that helps lower blood pressure. But here's the cool thing. When you eat them together, they almost amplify each other's powers. Oh yeah, let's get to it. First, we're gonna prepare our broccoli. We're gonna want to get nice little tight florets for these because we're gonna almost make this like popcorn. Next, we're gonna work on our onions. We take this, and we could take this, but yeah, take all day. So, use a slicer. Now's the time we're gonna toss some flour onto our onions. We're gonna sprinkle it with some salt. So what we're gonna end up with here is almost like little onion fritters. The onions are sliced so thinly that they're going to cook in no time flat, so they're almost going to melt away on the inside. Now it's time to put the olive oil into the pan so we can get these fried. All right, so you want to pull these guys out as soon as they're just starting to turn a little golden brown, not too brown, mind you. Now it's time for the broccoli. Take broccoli and you put it into olive oil. Couldn't be simpler. So you can start to see it's turning a little brown and you start to see all the florets, they've exploded. That's how you know it's done. Having this dish in lieu of saying potato chips or French fries, all the better. If you're gonna have junk food, might as well make it junk food made with superfoods.
You must be a genius. I would have never thought of putting pork and mushroom together. But so how do you come up with these ideas?
Oh, I can't take credit for that. Koreans have been putting together pork and mushrooms for
The thing is, I
forever.
don't cook, so I would have never known.
I mean, so it turns out though, there is a reason beyond just flavor. So we've been combining pork and pyogo mushrooms for a long time now. But it turns out that what pyogo mushrooms do, they have this quality to them that basically lowers cholesterol. So pork, it's actually a relatively lean meat, especially if you use cuts such as like the tenderloin and if you avoid like parts like the belly.
Yeah.
But it can still have a fair amount of cholesterol in there. That pyogo helps keep that in check.
Okay, when we're talking about combinations, the only combination that comes to mind is like kimchi and rice, right? What other good combinations are there?
Oh, there are plenty. So one interesting one is, do you guys grow up, with your moms, did they put beans in the rice? When they cooked it?
She does.
And you always manage to take them out.
Well, you shouldn't have picked those out because when rice and beans, when they're combined together, they form a complete protein.
Oh.
Protein is made out of 23 different amino acids. And so rice has half of them, beans have half of them. When you eat them together, they form a complete protein. Yeah. So, so you have combinations like that. And then in Korea, you have things like 족발 and 보쌈, which 족발, it's steamed pig's trotter, and 보쌈, it's steamed pig's either shoulder or belly, and it's eaten with 새우젓, which is a brined or fermented or pickled, tiny little shrimp. And part of the reason is because, man, that pork and shrimp combination is just so good.
So good.
So good. But the brine shrimp, the 새우젓, it encourages this sort of enzymatic bacterial activity in your system that helps digest it a little bit better.
There's like an actual science behind these combinations. That's amazing.
No,
They're
absolutely.
just for seasoning, but there's a whole more dimension to the 새우젓. But on the flip side, there are foods that should not be paired up together, right?
Oh, absolutely. A funny one is so in Korea, you all know that we consider persimmon to sort of slow down the system. You can sort of say. And crab, it's high in protein and it resides in cold water. So once it's pulled out, it's highly susceptible to attracting more bacteria. So combining persimmon with crab, you have a slow-moving system with a high-risk protein. So eating them together, you're risking food poisoning by combining those two foods together.
So no persimmon desserts after you go out and have king crabs or whatever crabs, right?
Precisely.
All right.
Okay, didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Well, thank you for bringing some of these amazing facts, and thank you for showing us those combinations. I'm going to try that out at home.
Always a pleasure.
All right, that's all we have prepared for you on this Friday morning.
And enjoy the rest of your Friday, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday at 7 a.m.